I've just come back from Brazil, from Rio, where I had a solo show. I was there for the whole month of June, and it was a really fantastic experience. The show that I did there this time was very different from everything that I have done in the past. I usually work with paintings and sculptures, and basically the idea is that you make a painting or a sculpture, you put it in the space, and the show pretty much is that. So this time I wanted to do something that depended on the viewers. So basically what I did was they created a bunch of stuffed hearts, red and pink hearts, and I put them in the space, and I invited the viewers to bring to me to pick an object, an object that represented affection and love, or affectionate memories or memories of love, and bring this object to me to the gallery in exchange for a heart. So basically the viewer left their object with me, and I gave them a heart, and the exhibit that became as only a bunch of hearts, nothing else, the whole space was blank, suddenly started becoming this exhibition of these very disparate, strange objects that had these special meanings to the people that brought them. But although the stories weren't clear from looking at the objects, it is clear that those objects have had a life. They are mostly objects that were used, and that you can see that they were handled and treasured. One of the greatest parts about that show was listening to the stories that the people told me and why they were exchanging with me. It was really interesting to hear these stories, and also the accumulation of the objects is really interesting. As I said, they're all very different from one another, but they make sense together because they are all kind of weaved together by the fact that they are connected to people's affections and memories of love. So that was a really, really great experience, and I think one of the greatest parts about it was empowering the visitor as well, and sharing the responsibility of having a solo show with the visitors. We don't really think about that much, I think, only when we're confronted with it. Like, you have a solo show, usually it's, oh my god, that's great. But then there's always that moment where you're asking yourself, wow, that's a lot of responsibility. I need to put, you know, work that is meaningful out there. I need to put work that is truthful, that is interesting, that is captivating. So when I moved here, I started noticing that people here really have a predilection. They love figurative paintings, paintings of nature, landscapes, paintings with animals on them. And that is very different from what I do. My paintings usually don't have any figures on them, just written words. So I wanted to play with that a little bit and do figurative and landscape paintings, although they're still going to be written, but they are going to be they're going to be landscapes and figurative paintings, although they were not going to have any actual people or landscapes in them. So I think that is an interesting way of trying to kind of deal with my environment, I guess. And after that, I plan on doing more personal written paintings. I plan to do 3 very personal written paintings, where basically they are connected to each other, and one of them is a little bit cynical and a little bit bitter with the art world. The second one is kind of telling the first one that it shouldn't be like that, that's a bad way to go. And the third one is just kind of redeeming itself and saying, no, this is what it should be, this is what it is. And the first 2 are just venting. And as for inspiration, that is a very interesting question. I think inspiration comes from so many places, it's hard to put like your finger on it. I'm inspired by a lot of things, by the people that surround me, by the landscape that surrounds me, the environment that surrounds me, the palette that surrounds me. One of the things that I really like about New England is the houses and how they are painted in different colors. Sometimes clashing, sometimes not. It's called the Painted Ladies, I believe. These beautiful Victorian houses that have like 3 to 4 different colors. It's really interesting because the light in America, or especially here in Boston, is a little like softer than in Brazil, and I have a feeling always that I'm seeing in pastel colors, and that when I'm in Brazil, all colors seem very like primary colors. So those are interesting things that certainly influence you. And you know, I'm very influenced by the things that I read. Currently reading a Brazilian author that I really like, João Cabral de Melo Neto. And it's very ethereal. It's, you know, I can go to the beach and get inspired by the beach, or read a book, be inspired by a book, or just, I usually have ideas before I'm going to bed. I just have these crazy thoughts and I have to write them down before they slip away. Sometimes I scribble so much that I can't really read what I wrote, but if one word gets written down, I will have the memory that I was having at the time. So that's a thing. And I guess one of the things that kind of underlines my production is the idea of sharing information. I think my paintings are a lot about that. Sometimes it's hard to share your thoughts with people, especially if they're very personal or if they're very philosophical. It's you know, you never know if people are exactly in the mood for that, and if they're written there on the wall, people can literally choose to look at them or not. Or, you know, someday they will not be into it, another day they'll walk by and they'll be like, oh, this is interesting, today it catches my attention. But you're not intruding with your own thoughts, and you're just letting them make a choice if they want to engage with that or not. And in my sculptures, I guess I'm moving a lot more towards collaborative practices. I'm very interested in working with the participant, in working with the viewer, in making the viewer a participant. I think somehow that's always been a thing. I also do performances every once in a while. They're very circumstantial. Sometimes I'll be in a situation where I'm invited to do something and the space is very strange, or the circumstance is ephemeral, and I'm like, oh, this is a good place for a time-based piece where, you know, it'll just come and go with the time that I have to make it, and just disappear when it's done and stay in people's memories. So yeah, everything is inspiration. You just have to be aware of your surroundings. I guess critical thought, producing critical thought is one of my end goals, and might be in a way a source of inspiration to always like try to start conversations by what I'm doing. And you know, if I succeed in that, I feel like I have succeeded in making art. And if I don't, then I'll keep trying. Because I feel like artists, that's pretty much what we always do. We roll the rock up the hill indefinitely, and it rolls back down, and we roll it back up. And even if you get to the top, it might roll to the other side, and you're gonna have to roll it back up again. That's a fantastic process, and you know, I'm very happy to be able to roll the rock up the hill every time.